Shotgun with Charlie.
Riding shotgun refers to the practice of sitting next to the driver in a moving vehicle. The term riding shotgun came around after the time of the stagecoach, when somebody used to sit next to the driver holding a shotgun, in case they ran into bandits. My name is Charlie Cook, and I drive a lot. I like to talk to people while I'm driving, so I interview people in my car while I'm driving. Welcome to Riding Shotgun with Charlie. All right, welcome to this issue of Armed Lifestyle Magazine. Today we are talking with Michael Cargill from the Central Texas Gun Works, also from the Cargill versus Garland, or is it Garland versus Cargill? I can't remember. And man, it's the bump stock case is probably what everybody knows it by. And recently, Michael has also taken some people shooting that don't have arms. So we're going to hit that. And we're also going to talk about the Gundy Awards that he just found out that he was nominated for. So, Michael, it is great to see you. Oh, you're muted.
I said it's great to see you as well.
This is great, man. I love that. I love that I can talk to people and make the connections. And I think this is like the third or fourth time we've talked this year.
Yes, sir, it is. It's very exciting because with everything we have going on with the court case in the United States Supreme Court, all the different other cases that are going on that are using our case as case law as we move forward, and have our day in court in the Supreme Court. And then also, man, the different students I'm coming in contact with, I can't wait to talk to you about the guy that had no arms at all and how I just cried myself, to sleep that night, just so satisfied the fact that he actually was able to shoot, and pass the course without any problems.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I watched the video on that too. So let's talk about the court case first. So this is what everyone knows is the Cargill versus Garland, or the bump stock case, and this is to be able to possess bump stocks. And if I remember correctly, the last time we talked, they granted you. They said you won the court case in the Fifth Circuit, but they didn't say what you were awarded or what your relief was.
Correct. Right. Yeah, so we weren't given any relief at all. So that case was sent back down to the lower court. And so the judge, pretty much said, hey, I won the case, and didn't assign any relief whatsoever. And I do have some stuff I'm going to tell you about that here in a second. And then so now that case has actually moved up to the United States Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. The court has granted cert, and now the case is actually named Garland versus Cargill. So, and it's you're right, what everyone knows is the bump stock case, but it breaks down a couple of things. It breaks down machine gun, the definition of what a machine gun is, and it also talks about, the ATF cannot create a right law. So, very excited about those two things, and very excited about what's going to possibly happen in the Supreme Court and what they can decide.
So is the definition for a machine gun is the standard definition that we've used for, I don't know, since the NFA in 1934 was when you press the trigger more than the gun discharges or fires more than one time with every press of the trigger. And that's what it's been for a long time. But the bump stocks kind of pushed the limit on that a little bit. And the reason that bump stocks were invented is because people like to push the limit. Like when somebody makes a law and says you can't do this, people like to see how far they can go with it. It certainly doesn't turn it into a machine gun. But yeah, please tell us about this more.
Yeah, we love to poke the bear, and that's what we do. And you're right. It's the action of the trigger. So when one action of the trigger, more than one round goes out, then that is a machine gun. One action of the trigger, only one round goes out, then that's a semi-automatic. And then we get into the whole talk of, this case and the ATF being able to create a right law. That's reserved for Congress. It's not for the ATF to decide.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I know this isn't your case, but I don't know if you have any thoughts on the forced trigger resets. Because those aren't machine guns, but I guess the way it works is when you press the trigger back, it fires, and then when you release the trigger, it fires as well. But I know that's not your case.
Yes. So No, it's not my case at all, but that the force reset triggers, they are using my case as actually case law to win their case and make their way up the chain toward the Supreme Court as well. So we're excited, in helping whoever we can help, because this is all about all of us, our Second Amendment rights, and stopping the ATF from coming after all the different parts, whether it's a brace, a trigger, whatever they want to ban. And it's not just about the ATF; it could be other agencies as well. It could be the EPA, other agencies that are out there,
Yep.
that are saying, hey, they want to control, and create law to turn civilians into felons overnight, which is insane, and that's not how our Constitution was written.
Absolutely. Give us a quick definition or an explanation of how the bump stocks work.
Well, it's you. It's a device that you put on the like an AR-15, and you put your finger in the trigger guard area, and you push forward with your if you're left-handed, push forward your right hand. You push forward with your left. Your finger stays right there on the trigger. It presses the trigger. Round goes out, and then you use the recoil, the reaction of the gun to fire. And it's really not that stable, but it's more, something that we use for fun. You
Oh
know,
my God.
I'm with you. I'm not this big, huge fan of it, but it's something that you can have for fun because
Absolutely.
not
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit there. Sorry about that. It's definitely fun. It's a
accurate.
little it's not accurate. It's a little out of
Oh, okay.
control. I've had the chance to fire one once, and it was a little out of control, a little scary. I might have peed myself a little bit, but it was still pretty fun.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. So when the case was awarded to you, and they didn't give you relief, you weren't sure if it was that you could have them, or if Texas could have them, or the Fifth Circuit, or if they were going to be good everywhere, which is why your case progressed up to the Supreme Court, correct?
Correct. And there's some stuff that no one actually knows. So the lower court, the district judge, is kind of up to some little tricks right now. That we all know that the Supreme Court has granted the ATF statutory petition in our case.
Hmm.
Well, the district judge, without explanation at all, for no apparent reason, and without anyone asking him to do this, he has denied without prejudice our pending motion for reconsideration of his earlier decision to deny us any effective relief. Now, the decision
Right.
is yet another act, of defiance, against the Fifth Circuit, their decision, and we have appealed this decision to the Fifth Circuit, and so the Justice Department has asked the Fifth Circuit to hold the appeal, um, pending the decision from the Supreme Court, and that's going to be something that no one else knows, and this is the first time I've told anyone about this.
I love this. I'm honored. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. That's pretty exciting. So it's going to be it's if the Supreme Court rules in favor of it, then everyone's going to be able to own a bump stock, right?
That is correct. That is
I
correct.
I love it. I was having lunch with a friend of mine today, and I was telling him that I was going to be talking with you tonight. And I said, honestly, if this goes through, I'd like to own a bump stock just to have a bump stock.
Yeah, yes.
You
And
know?
honestly, when we were first talking about, back in what is it, 2017, 18, the ATF was going to ban them. I had people calling wanting to get one just because it was something that the government was going to ban. And it's going to be the same thing once we win if we win the Supreme Court case. Supreme Court decides in our favor. People are going to do the same thing. They're going to want to get this piece of history. They say, hey, I want this because this is something that the government banned for a certain time,
Hmm.
and the people had to go to court to fight for this, for us to be able to have it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I feel the same way with the homemade firearms. I can't call them ghost guns, without using the serious voice. And I feel the same way with the pistol braces. I'd like to get a pistol brace just to have a pistol brace because the government's like, no, you can't have these. This could be illegal. It's going to make it a short-barreled rifle. You can't have one of those. Yeah, I think I can. I think I want to.
Right, right.
Yeah, for
Yeah, and,
sure.
and, my case is going to help the brace, ban as well. Currently, right now, this moment in time, depending on when you look at this video, you can actually have a brace now. But when it goes to the next court, that could possibly change.
Right.
So,
It's so to me, it's a little exhausting. Um, it's a little exhausting that when a new person gets in power, that they can go and change all the laws. And I got to tell you, I remember being a kid. going through social studies class and learning about history and learning about the government, which the government probably needs to do. But the I always thought it was weird that if we had a Republican in office, that Republicans could set up laws or approve laws, and then if a Democrat or when a Democrat comes in office, they could turn around and change those laws around, and then a Republican can come back in and change them around. And it's a little exhausting that it kind of works this way, but um, it's nice that we can put up a fight and say, no, you can't do that. This is not right. This is wrong.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a shame that we have to go through this.
Mhm.
Changing administrations. Someone else, like you said, someone else comes into power. They decide to do, something over here, and they do something over there, and we have to constantly fight. So it's a constant battle, and we're not going to give this battle up. I'm going to continue to fight because I think that I'm doing the right thing. Um, Fighting for the people, fighting for our Constitution, what our Constitution actually stands for, and remembering how our forefathers wrote the Constitution and what their mindset was when they wrote that Constitution.
Yeah, it's interesting to me how the anti-gun folks always bring up, you can go hunting on these days and you can use this for hunting, and the right to bear arms is not about hunting. It's a nice thing. It's a nice thing to do, but that's not what it's about.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. And I'm really excited to talk to you about, my student who walked into the gun store one day because someone sent him over to us because we do fingerprinting for the state of Texas for different background checks and stuff.
Mhm.
And they didn't know how to take his fingerprints. Well, you can't. He has no hands. So they
Right.
sent him to me. They said, "Hey, go see this guy at the gun store in the red shirt. Ask him, what to do, and he'll help you." And so I had to figure out, how do we annotate, this guy's um, his fingerprint information on the fingerprint stuff so we can get it submitted and turned in for him.
It's-
So he said, "Hey, by the way, I want to shoot. I want to, take my LTC course and get qualified, to actually carry a gun." I said, "Okay, piece of cake, not a problem." And so he was born with no hands at all, so he's used to using his feet to do everything as it is.
mm,
So it's just a process of just transferring that information from your his day-to-day activities so that he can use a gun and actually load the magazine. He can put the magazine in the handgun. You can actually pull the slide back, release the slide. You can, make sure he has a nice, good grip on the handgun, looking at his sights, his front sight and rear sight, and then pull straight back on the trigger with a nice, smooth trigger pull, hitting the target. And so we sat here in the classroom and practiced for quite a while. It took us, I think the longest part was just figuring out what gun he was going to use, make sure it wasn't too heavy, he can
right.
actually pull the slide back and all that stuff, and the trigger, was a nice good trigger pull for him. So once we figured that out, the rest was actually pretty easy because this guy had already been doing everything with his feet as it is.
Right. It's not like he's got to learn how to use his feet.
Correct. Correct.
So, what kind of gun did you guys use?
So we uh, man, I be honest with you, I don't even remember because we went
Oh,
through so different types of guns. I know, I'm kicking myself right now because
well,
I don't I
I
can't
was
even begin to think what it is.
I was watching the video and I was trying to figure it out, and it was a 22, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so it did not look. I'm using my little process of elimination for what I know, right? It was not a Walther P22. So my
No.
first thought that it was a Ruger SR22, but I don't think it was that either.
It was a Ruger.
It
It was
was.
a yes, it was a Ruger. That is correct. Yes.
Okay, but it wasn't the SR22, was it?
No, it was not.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Good. 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 Because I'm like, that's not an SR22. Um, yeah, and it was what, single action and double action too.
That is correct. Yeah. And so it just the hardest part for everyone, really, new shooters, is loading the rounds in the magazine. And I
Mm,
tell people that in class when they come to class. I say there's going to be two hard things to do today. Hardest thing is going to be finding our website on your cell phone. The next hardest thing is going to be loading the rounds in the magazine. If you can get past those two things, then the course is easy. Just listen to what I tell you, and I can get you through this course. I don't care
yeah.
if you have, no arms, you lost your right arm. I've had a student come into class who lost his right arm and his right leg in a motorcycle accident. And I was able to teach him how to rack the slide, put around the chamber, put the magazine in, rack the slide, and fire with his left hand and his left, use his left feet. And it was, man, this guy, he was the best shooter in that class.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's pretty amazing. And it's great that these people have both come to you
Yeah,
because I would sit there and think, okay, if somebody came to me, I'm like, I don't know, I need to figure this out.
right. Yeah, it's very exciting, and just to see him, hit the X, um, and the hard part, I think the hardest part for him really was his abs, his abdominal area,
Oh,
and
sure.
because the way he was sitting, he was working a different type of muscle that he never used,
Mm,
so that part was actually a little difficult for him. But once we got past the abs, and just say, hey,
yeah,
you just got to work on strengthening your abs, and that's the same thing for some people when they're loading the rounds in the magazine. Their wrist, their fingers and their hands are not that strong because they're working a different type of
yeah.
muscle, different part of the body they're not used to working with.
It's I've seen a lot of new shooters or new people that are new to gun ownership taking a licensing course really have a hard time with racking with loading rounds in the magazine, and the whole round on round thing is really the trickiest part for people. But you tell them after you do it a while, it gets pretty easy because they're like, "How did you get so good at this?" I've been doing it for 20 years. It gets a little easier after a while, you know?
Yeah, it really does. It really does. And so it's exciting to see people, succeed in life. It's to accomplish some dreams, to knock off things in their bucket list, and just to be there and watch them and just assist them, because they have
Yeah.
the drive and the determination to do it all by themselves. And I'm just assisting is all I'm doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now you said for your qualification in Texas, you don't have to draw from concealment, but he has a bag that he carries, obviously.
That is correct. So he has a bag that he carries stuff in. He's able to get he has to get his wallet out of the bag, his money out of the bag, everything out of the bag anyway.
Hmm.
So we fixed it so that um, we designed something so he has a special spot, for specifically for his firearm.
Hmm.
So he's able to pull that out if he has to and to use that. And I tell you, uh, the last thing a criminal's gonna see if they mess with this guy, is his feet pointing the gun at them
Right, right. They're going to be in disbelief when they.
as they're standing in front of St. Peter.
All right, so Michael is back. He had a bad connection there. The next thing that we're going to talk about with Michael is his podcast or radio show called Come and Talk It. And it is actually being nominated or has been nominated for one of the Gundy Awards, which is already, the voting has ended. And by the time this comes out, I think the Gundys are going to be over. I think the Gundys are going to be at the SHOT Show. So hopefully we'll be able to hang out and celebrate a win for Come and Talk It.
Well, we're just excited to be nominated for the Gundys, which is this is the first time. I didn't know until early in the week that it actually had happened, and so we're scrambling, trying to notify people, hey, we've been nominated. Help us win. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. I'm just excited, like I said, just to be nominated. If we don't win, that's fine. This is it's been an exciting year for the Come and Talk It radio show.
Hmm.
We've we're almost at 100,000 subscribers, and we're growing pretty
Wow.
fast. So yeah, and we went from, I want to say, a couple of hundred subscribers to almost 100,000 subscribers in 6 months.
That's
So
incredible.
yeah,
That is
we've taken off
incredible.
pretty fast. So we're just excited about the show and the roadmap that is going.
Hmm. That's very cool. It's like a regular radio show. Do you put it out as a podcast as well?
Right. So we were live on the radio, and I decided to come off the radio show. I figured that we can actually do better on YouTube and on social media and do it as a podcast rather than a live radio show. And it was a great move because
Yeah.
our YouTube page just took off. We were able to freely do and say what we wanted to say and do
Hmm.
without having to watch, the things, what you say on live on the radio. And so
Right.
people loved it, and it's taken off.
That's amazing. So I'd been voting every day for my people, and as I was scrolling through what, oh gosh, what's the category? I had it at the tip of my tongue. The a breakout content creator.
Correct.
I cruised through. I didn't see her image, but I saw the cannon with the chariot behind it lighting the cannon. I'm like, wait a second, I know this guy. So I had to make sure I get on the website and vote for you every day for the last week and a half. I know it
Oh,
only
wow.
goes for 2 weeks, and so I've been voting every day for you.
Oh, that's awesome. So you knew before I did, so that's great.
I assumed you knew. How do people not know?
I know, I know, I know.
I
We're in our own little bubble, in our own little world, and we don't come out sometimes.
Right, no, you're too busy doing the work that you're doing, man. You got a lot of stuff going on with the gun store, with the court cases, with the teaching the gentleman with no arms how to shoot. You're a busy man.
Yes, sir. Thank I appreciate that. And we love what we do here. I have a wonderful staff, uh, wonderful company, and we're growing, and it's just exciting. I'm looking forward to 2024 and what's going to happen as far as all these court cases. I think it is the year for the Second Amendment. 2024 is the year that the Second Amendment community is going to win in court, and it's just going to be devastating for the government.
I love it. I love it, love it, love it. This is awesome. All right, well, listen. How can people find you and all of all the content that all the content that you're putting out?
Yeah, you can find us on all the different social media platforms. Twitter, we do a lot of stuff on Twitter. It's Michael D. Cargill for my personal Twitter page, or Come and Talk It, the radio show, or Central Texas Gunworks, the gun store. On Twitter, Facebook, we're YouTube, we're out there. We're on every different platform you possibly find us on. So if you're looking for the radio show, Come and Talk It, go there. If you want to follow me, my rants and chats and updates about what's going on in the court as I'm actually going to be in D.C. in the Supreme Court and sitting up front, and I'm going to, as much as I can, run out of the room and tweet as much as I can possibly tweet. I don't think we can use our phones inside,
Sure.
but I'm going to keep people updated as best I possibly can.
Nice. Two things. People can find the video of the man shooting a handgun with his feet on your X or your Twitter X page. How are you funding all of this stuff?
Mm. It's donations, to be honest with you,
Hmm.
from people and that are looking forward to what we can possibly do and the victories that we can bring. So I'm telling people to go to my personal page, which is michaelcargill.com. You can donate there, especially those funds will go to the court case. So definitely support us because there's more than one case that we're working on. We're working on several cases. And people will be shocked and surprised, and they're all on the website. Just go to michaelcargill.com and you can find the different court cases.
All right, very cool. We're going to put some links to that. We're going to close things out. I'm looking forward to seeing you at SHOT Show. I'm sure you'll be where all the media is. they'll be following.
Absolutely.
They'll be following you around.
Yes, absolutely. And then, like I always say, more guns equals less crime. So you go out there and you buy yourself a gun.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you very much, Michael.
Yes, sir.
For everyone else, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Writing Shotgun with Charlie. You can find a written article at armlifestylemagazine.com, and you'll be able to read this in the Writing Shotgun with Charlie column. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you guys soon.